All right. We are live. July 31st, 2023. Welcome all to another episode of Finance Junkies. We couldn't make it yesterday because some of us had work. Chris is also celebrating his anniversary on some island, so he was a little bit busy for us. But we're back.
Oh, he's not here today?
He's not here today. He'll be here tomorrow.
He's in Cancun right now, living it up.
Nice.
He's in Cancun. So now one thing about Chris is we're doing the Disney episode tomorrow. He should be able to make it tomorrow, so it's going to be an hour on Disney. I was talking to one of our good friends, Steve, today, who really thinks Disney's not the best company. So Steve might come on Wednesday to give the bear case, so it'll be good to kind of see both sides.
Actually, why don't you bring him on at the same time?
I want to give Chris
that's the best way to do it. That's the best way to do it, because then there'll be a point that Steve will make, and you'll be like, "Oh, you want to hear the two going at." I mean, I don't know. I think we could do.
I'll see if he's
an hour
free.
on that.
Maybe we can do it.
So
Yeah, we'll definitely get the full bear case.
I think I just want to announce that I've been chatting with Mayur Thacker, and he's coming on next week, Tuesday. So that should be a really good Enphase episode. And
he's a big Enphase guy, right? Big Enphase guy.
Yeah, he's into a bunch of stuff, and he's into Tesla, of course, but a very good analyst. Let me see where he works. This is from his Twitter.
Nice.
Chartered financial analyst. So I guess chartered is where he works. But yeah, he's going to be here next week, and this is going to be a great Enphase conversation.
Okay.
And what's his name? The Wheel. TJ the Wheel wants to do an episode with us. Vitaly.
Okay, cool. We'll get to
I don't know where we probably have to do that on our channel. We probably have to do that on our channel, because it'll just be he just wants to go over the case.
Oh, he just wants to talk to us. Forget about Amit. Yeah, I get it.
He said I don't want to talk to Amit.
He's like, what am I going to learn?
No, I think he wanted to be like a real deep dive on
Enphase.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay,
like,
so why don't we do that? I don't know. When do you want to do that?
Well, only day would be Friday if we don't have
Friday
Finance Junkies podcast.
How about we do it
Sunday?
Friday?
Sunday, actually, that could work, because this Sunday I work, but I'm not going to be working over the weekend.
No, I mean, let's do that early before the Finance Junkies thing, and that way we just lead right into the Finance Junkies.
That works.
Yeah.
TJ, what's up, TJ? We're just talking about the.
All right, TJ, Sunday. I hope you're available.
Sunday, we'll try to do it. Sold 22 more puts on Enphase today.
We're definitely going to talk about Enphase and SolarEdge a little bit later, because Enphase had a pretty amazing recovery, in my opinion. But we got to get to the top of the hour.
Tomorrow.
What are you talking about? What happened? Let me see.
I mean, it went from 140 to 153. To me, SolarEdge barely dropped.
That's not a big recovery. That's
But look, bro, people were saying it's going to 120 on for some reason. Twitter is very bearish, and like, you guys are.
Thank God.
All of Intuit is telling me this is the most overvalued. I'm like, but
you know what? To be
said it's fine.
Hold on, but to be fair,
thank God everybody thinks it's overvalued. I wish it goes lower.
A lot of those guys have only been watching it, say, the last year or so.
No, there was one guy who was arguing back and forth with Vitaly, talking about he spoke to more installers than him, all this like shit, and I'm like, who the fuck is this guy, bro? Because the only guy I know who really understands Enphase is Vitaly. No.
So I think he's an actual analyst. Was I wrong? Was I speaking to a real analyst about it?
I don't know who the fuck he was.
But we were going back and forth.
Which guy is this?
It's some analyst I was talking to, and maybe I'll find the tweet, put it on the Discord. But he kept telling me that Tesla's eating Enphase's lunch, and I'm like, dude, we're at 4% penetration. What are you talking about? Like, so everybody's like bearish on this short-term thing. Like even Jesse Dow was talking about Enphase. Tesla's eating Enphase's lunch, and this is the narratives that always develop. Have you guys noticed that when a stock is going down, everybody who wanted to shit on it comes in, piles in, like with whatever narrative they have. When everything turns around and is going up, like for example, now Meta, everybody's coming back in. It's like, oh, now it's going to 400. Now it's going higher. So when these narratives flip, it's actually important to pay attention, because if you're a long-term investor, you should do the opposite on quality companies than these people are preaching. That's what.
Okay, so we're gonna spend a lot of time on Enphase. So let's
just in general, when the narrative is shitty for a really good company, think about why that is. And really think about that. And if you are still interested in that company, that is the perfect time to accumulate.
Well,
let's do SoFi. We got to get that out of the way, and then we'll do a bunch of stuff.
What happened with SoFi today? Some news?
I mean, for some reason, Vitaly's calls have printed today. Vitaly, why don't you tell us? All three of us are SoFi shareholders. In fact, Vitaly, you got me into
the calls are printed over 100 and whatever percent.
I posted today 386% for a part of my calls, and like I think 200 for the other part.
What are the strikes on those? What are the leap prices?
$5 strikes and $7 strikes. And I also have shares. I have thousands of shares, so it's not just calls.
Yeah.
Okay. So what happened?
I got a bunch
Go
of
ahead,
shares
Carlos.
and $5 calls, or like.
Thank you for the $2 super chat, buddy. Mr.
Thanks,
Seymour Duck.
David, we're gonna answer your question at the end. This is the same question you asked last time. I still have it on my list, so we'll answer this in the end.
Oh yeah.
All right, so Vitaly, what was your reaction to SoFi earnings? Obviously, member growth 584,000, lost a lot less money than the street thought they would lose, 498 million. Raised guidance on adjusted EBITDA by $68 million. That is insane for a company to be able to do. Technology is growing. Galileo is growing. Seems like
you want to go through the deck, or do you just want to talk about it? Do you actually want to?
I'll share some of the deck, but yeah, go ahead. I mean,
I actually have that. Yeah, so let me bring it up.
I have it. I'll bring it up. Don't worry.
Okay.
The big number for me, I think I was
inbound XCX. Like Vitaly going to build 12, wait, 1, 2, maybe 3 or 4 more pools to hold the cash.
SoFi is going to buy him some fucking pools.
The number that I was most impressed with was the drop in the customer acquisition. That was a huge. It was like $380, which is a fuck ton of money. But I still can't get the exact number of what that costs. We still have to figure that out based on the number of customers. I know it's dropped.
They spent $7 million more on sales and marketing from last quarter, but that $7 million got them 100,000 members. So that's why the cost actually reduced when you divide it by 5.
We can do some rough math on that, because that's a big deal. What that's telling you is that
wait, how much is it? 100,000 extra members, you said?
Yeah, than last quarter. So they spent 182 million on sales and marketing, I believe.
Okay, can you do some? Can you put up a calculator? How much is that per person? Are they spending? I'm just curious.
That's 182 million divided by, what'd you say, 100,000?
Yeah.
Well, 584,000. That's the actual.
Oh, 580.
No. How much extra spend you said, or was it total spend? How many?
Well, then you do 7 million divided by 100,000, roundabout.
Yeah, it's the extra members we're talking about.
So, okay, so it's 7 million. 7 million. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Are you sure it's only 7 million for 100,000? That sounds wrong.
Yeah, no, I'm correct. So sales, I'm looking at it right now. 182 they spent this quarter. Last quarter they spent 175 million.
Okay, so 182 million divided by 100,000 members. That's the extra.
If it's 7 million, it's only if it's 7 million for 100,000 customers, and they've dropped from $380 a customer to 70.
Yeah, but again, that's only for the new customers. If you divide it by 584, that's where you have to take 182 million divided by 584.
Let's see that 182 million.
Divided by
182 million. 1, 2, 3 extra 0. 1, 2. 182 million by 500 and what?
584,000.
84,000, and you get 311. That makes a lot more sense.
Okay, $311 they're spending per person.
It's still a lot of money, but what it's telling you is they are getting a better ROI on that, and word of mouth. It's word of mouth. It's people that are putting out their referral codes and getting it. Like, I wish we had numbers on that, but that's how it grows. And honestly, the word of mouth or a referral from a friend is better than anything that SoFi could pay for.
Look, the fact that if you bring up the stats again, how much did they beat it by? 18 million or so?
Revenue, they beat it by about 18 million. Yeah, street expected 477. They brought in 498.
And this is why they're going up, because look, I put up a chart today, even on Twitter, like they keep beating guidance. So this has been happening already for over a year. So the fact that they keep doing this is a high quality startup or whatever you want to put it. But even if we call it speculative, this is a high quality company that you can sort of make a bet on. And that's what I did when it was really low at $5. It was an easy bet. Even right now, what is it? 10, 11? I didn't see what it went up to.
$11. Yeah.
You know, it's still sort of reasonable. It's still a reasonable price. But as it goes higher, if it keeps pumping, then I'll be honest, I'm not going to keep all my shares. I'm going to take some profits off of this. I don't know what you guys are doing.
Look, I think the big thing is on the conference call, Noto sounded like a rock star. He basically said, our strategy is working. We got 584,000 people to use this product. A lot of it because there's a flywheel happening, is what he says, between product and marketing and analytics, and then the customer referrals that you're talking about, Carlos, and the SoFi Stadium. Like, everything's actually going to plan. People are signing up and using the product. Like, there's actually people using it. There's student loans. They dropped 125 million in originations this quarter, but that's actually very bullish because in the summer, you're not going to get student loan refinancing. He went on CNBC today.
Well, and it was 1% down, but this is not counting the student loans that are coming back, right?
That's his point. He was like, there's 39 million student loan borrowers in the United States, and SoFi in its history has helped 1 million people refinance. So there's a 39 million person market that's going to expand in the next 7 to 8 months when the federal government, puts their foot on the line and says you have to start paying. And SoFi is ripe to get that. And I think that's why they raised adjusted EBITDA as well.
He did say this too. I kind of on Seeking Alpha read this. More than 90% of SoFi money deposits, inclusive of checkings and savings and cash management, are from direct deposit members. So 90% of people are actually using their direct deposit. And then he goes on to say, and the medium FICO score for a new direct deposit accounts opened in Q2 was 747, which is pretty high.
So the delinquency rate, I mean, that's going to be the next bear case, but I think they're really making sure that they're not going to have a high
If
delinquency
you have
rate.
a 750 credit score, I don't know about if Carlos took a look, but I have lots of tenants that if you have 750, 800, you're not going to be delinquent. It is very unlikely. Okay.
Yeah.
Those people do not want to get into that kind of trouble because they understand what credit means. So
there's also a spot in that same Seeking Alpha article. I'm looking for it now, where even with this high interest rate environment, it's actually working to their benefit that they're mobile only. Like they just don't have some of the other overhead costs of the brick and mortar.
Yeah,
they're not dealing with any
big bull case.
It's a huge huge overhead that they don't have. And so once these rates do come down, that conversion rate is going to be insane, and it's also going to put more money in people's pockets.
Yeah. No, it's a big, and they originated $800 million more in personal loans, 3.2 billion versus 2.7 something billion last quarter. This quarter, which is insane. The $800 million they gave out in personal loans this quarter, which means they had the demand for it. The market was ready for it. They were a go-to name to be able to get personal loans. And the biggest thing is that this company has not gotten a tech multiple yet. Like the reason I invested is because Vitali got me into this whole AWS of fintech. That's growing, but it's not growing like crazy. It hasn't even hit its peak.
I'm glad you brought that up, because at least now it flattened out. I think they're up on a couple of million accounts right now, as opposed to losing accounts. So
yes,
that is what I keep looking at. That is what I want to at least stabilize, because that's the way you get a real tech multiple, is from Galileo. It's not from the bank. I'm sorry. The bank is good, but it's Galileo.
Well, and then imagine once the rates actually do come down and the number of people that they can qualify for those loans, if they're doing 800 million right now in this environment. In other words, there's a lot.
Wouldn't they be making more right now with higher rates? Wouldn't they be making more money with higher rates?
They're going to approve less loans.
Yeah,
I'm saying they're going to approve less loans. The money's going to be tighter. So once it's a lower a lower rate environment, not that they'll be what is it, like less strict over who they give loans to, but people will be looking for money because the rate is so small. That's going to help. That's going to help everything. I mean, that's going to help even Enphase. Yeah, so just having a more favorable rate environment will do well. So it's kind of good that this happened so early in the company, because you get to see how Noto can, the levers that the guy can pull in terms of leadership in this kind of environment. Like I can't think of very many other environments that would be worse for his type of business right now. Yeah. And if they're crushing on this level for a company that's now they're $9 billion. I mean,
are they 9 only?
11 billion.
8.9. What I saw.
Yeah, their market cap is really equivalent to their dollar amount. But it's incredible, man. I mean, it's just what they're doing. 584,000 members. No one expected that. And gap profitability, they're like 40. They lost a little bit more money than they did last quarter, but that's because they spent more on sales and marketing. So, I mean, they reduce a couple levers here and there. They're going to be profitable by Q4, growing at 6 million plus members. They're on their path to get to 10 million members by the end of next year or mid next year. I mean,
can you pull up the call? That was actually a good thing. At the very end of the call, he was basically saying maybe, Q3 might not that it won't be great, but it's not going to be a gangbusters, but Q4 is the one to look out for. This is the same thing that Badri said on Enphase call. Q3 is not going to be great, but Q4 is going to be great. So it's sort of like a dog whistle to people saying this is your time to accumulate shares, because what did they have? What did they jump double digits today?
They jumped 20%. Yeah,
20%. So this is now 7 out of 9 quarters. They've jumped double digits after earnings, right?
Let's point this out again. I hate pointing this out for the 10th time, but you chasers out there, do not chase. We've been talking about this for like a year or two. Now. Okay, so we've been talking about this for a while. Anyone who's missing it should not be chasing this at this point, honestly. 20% pumps, it can go higher, big deal, but there's other things to catch.
Wait for. Oh, and speaking of which, I wanted to share this that I saw today. Check this out.
Nubank views. I don't know a lot about it. I know Tanner is super bullish on this company. I also think it's run up a lot. So just like SoFi, it's a little buying it now.
That's the episode that he invited me on. Nubank, amazing bank. The stats that he showed about that bank is absolutely insane. They are crushing
Latin America. Their growth is insane.
Yeah, the growth is insane. The problem is the valuation. It's at $40 billion. The time to buy it was when it was $5 in January. Yep. So it's the same sort of deal. It's like, imagine if SoFi ran up to a $50 billion valuation right now.
You don't
As
buy
good as
it,
they're crushing it, you just don't buy it. And so, unfortunately, it was a great company that I feel like we missed out on the run up.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, let's so that's the SoFi stuff. If anyone has any more questions on SoFi, put it below. SoFi Weekly will cover that as well and go into depth into the numbers. We're still trying to figure out what they paid for Wyndham Capital, so Tanner will
So wait, the last thing, I think you said it, but maybe we glossed over it. The fact that they raised for next quarter too,
guidance, yeah.
that's important. So
It's very important.
You
That's why
saw
the
it
street ran them
for
up.
Nvidia.
They're growing. They're growing.
and like I said, I put up a great little TV on Yahoo Finance. Maybe we should show it, but they've been beating quarter after quarter in terms of what they're guiding for, and they're beating it.
The difference is they used to sell off after beating. This is
Yeah.
the first quarter they didn't sell off.
Well, because now they even guided next quarter.
Correct.
So
I did just want to bring this up for all those who follow Bob Lucas. If you know him from the crypto space, he's very good at reading like the 60-day cycles of charts. And he was actually really impressed with how the S&P has done. So he posted this morning. The S&P is far too extended and past the expected cycle topping point. So basically every 60 days, there's a cycle, there's a high and a low. And what he's saying is that it's extended beyond the extended cycle topping point. The strength has been even more impressive than I expected. We should be looking at a 4-week pullback very soon, but very bullish action overall. So this is what he sees happening. So basically, the bull run can continue, but at some point he sees it, a 4-week pullback. I'm not trying to shit on the parade. I'm just saying to have an indicator that this could happen because we've run up. If you just look at the typical cycles, we've run up well beyond where we technically
Are you
should
talking
be.
about SoFi or Bitcoin? What are we talking about?
No, this is just the
S&P.
S&P. This is just the S&P in general. This is just markets in general that he feels like
Oh,
we're really getting, as Chris would say.
Oh,
frothy.
interesting. Can I
Now,
show you something? Let me show you.
Are you going to do a
because
pushback to that? Because I have one pushback.
I have a pushback here.
Well,
yeah.
All right, I want to see what your pushback is first. I think I know what it is.
I mean, first of all, if you guys watched, this is just the chart. Let me just talk about the chart for a second. If you're looking at the SPX chart, do you guys see it?
Yeah.
Because I'm on the chart here. If you look at the chart, we really don't have any resistance to go straight to 4,800. So we've sort of, there's not much left. I mean, we've got this little thing here that I guess we got to break, but come on. I think we're going to 4,800. I don't know what happens after that.
Tom Lee agrees with you.
Yeah, I don't know if this is a double. Well, hold on. Hold on a second. I don't know if this is a double top. Could happen, and then we go back down and follow the other bigger trend. But because let me just zoom out a bit. I just want to show everybody the S&P where we're in. Let me go to the monthly. Everyone who thinks that we're in a bear market in the S&P, I don't think we've been there in 100 years. So this is where we are in the S&P over the last, I don't know,
1994, 1980. It's been a while.
So guys, we're in a secular bull market for like 100 years for America. Okay. The only place this is going is up. Whether it dips, of course, that can happen. But in terms of the short term, I agree with Tom. We should be going to $3,800 without much resistance, in fact. And what happens then, I don't know. Honestly.
Well, that
4,800. Sorry.
That previous top. Where is that? Because you can see
47.8.
So that was right here at around.
Go back to the daily. The daily chart showed it better. I'm just curious.
They called this white guy astrology. I love it.
Actually, no.
You guys should really pay attention to this charting shit.
That right there. What is that?
Guy's like, I'm making a lot of money because I'm looking at these fucking.
Why do you think I bought SoFi? Okay, and why do you think I'm buying Enphase? Look at the chart.
Not that level. Below that.
What are you talking about here?
The first lower high. After that,
this one right here, 46.33.
All right, so 40. If we clear 46, we're probably going straight to.
Yeah, but honestly, that's not even much resistance. That's like we had one wick here, and that's it. So yeah, okay, maybe there's a pullback there for a little bit, but it looks like there's nothing but blue skies to 4,800. Even if there's some pullbacks, whatever, 5%, 10%, who cares? It seems like it's going to 4,800.
Well, did you see? I'm sure you saw this today.
And there's a second thing, by the way. I follow All-Star Charts. Besides that, if you follow All-Star Charts in the compound, the guy went through 1 billion charts. We are hitting all-time 52.
Oh, you saw that episode, the when zoom out episode?
Yeah, we're hitting 52-week highs for almost freaking every stock in S&P. It's up like 40%, 30% for technology, 40% for industrials or something. It just keeps going. So and they go into it that never in the history of bear markets do we keep hitting 52-week highs over and over. So it keeps happening. So the fact that it's happening, I am confident in saying that we are in a bull market. Whether it ends at some point, obviously it's going to end. but we are currently in one, and everyone has been ignoring it. I'm sorry, you missed a fucking massive run.
And let me do one point as one real quick. PE, private equity, is sitting on $2.2 trillion of dry powder. So people talk about credit is tightening, which is correct, but there is a lot of money on the side, and if they choose to get into equities and not anything else,
I mean, this is all that money printing. It's got to go somewhere. There's two things. There was this, and then can you see this? This was Jesse Dow comparing Palantir to SOFI, talking just about technical analysis, right? So we should just watch a little bit of this. Actually, I'm gonna I have to reshare this one from here so that you can hear the sound. I'll have to reshare it from here so you can hear the sound. Let me do it this way.
Let me just put.
We don't have to watch all of it, but it's really
I'll pull it up. I have it right here. I actually have that guy right here. I got it.
Here, I'll send you the link. It's in the private chat.
Where is that coming from? Oh, here it is. Okay, got it.
He just blasts through like 70 charts in like 2 minutes, and you're like, fuck. Like this is it's very sobering when you see it all presented that way.
Okay, let me pull it up. And it's in the first couple minutes?
Yeah, it's a you don't have to watch the whole thing, but it's just the idea of how much financial data there is about where we are and how bullish the US economy is right now.
Charts that explain exactly what's going on. First up, we have to go back in history to understand how we got here. If we zoom out, we can see that the United States long-term gross domestic product, GDP, it's up and to the right throughout history. We have gone up 9x since 1950. Then we can see that the average GDP growth has been slowing down though. It used to be 4% back in the 1960s, and now it sits at just 2% a year. On top of that, we had 2 negative GDP quarters in 2022, but there has been a return to positivity in 2023. In Q2 of this year, GDP grew by 2.4%. The United States has been on a tear since 2008 compared to Europe. Europe has been stagnating, and the United States has been growing. On top of that, within the United States, we see that out west and in the South, GDP is growing at a much faster clip than in the Northeast and the Midwest. On top of that, we can look at CPI, which has been much higher than the 2% target. We reached 9% in 2022, but we're now down to 3% CPI, and it is expected to return to the Federal Reserve's target of 2% over the next 18 months. The Fed has had a big hand in that. They've raised interest rates from 0 to 5.25% since March of 2022, which is a big contributor to the slowdown in inflation, and it is the fastest pace of interest rate hikes in history. On top of that, the United States debt to GDP is at 97%, and it's continuing to go up by 2 percentage points a year. With the McCarthy-Biden debt ceiling deal, that 2% is likely to stick. If we look at Japan, their debt to GDP is at 220%, and its inflation hasn't exploded, suggesting that the United States debt to GDP could take decades to become a major problem. But there have been some problems in the economy.
It's just
I mean, he's right. There's a lot of good signs to show that the market's not in the worst spot right now. And honestly, that debt stuff, like, I don't think we're gonna have to. I think we all will be dead before we really have to worry about the debt stuff, which is sad.
Look, I can think.
I agree with you, Amit. We will be dead.
We will be dead. I'll be dead too. It's not just you guys. We're all dying.
I think in our lifetime there'll be a move to a different currency. This to me seems like someone that knows they're going to claim bankruptcy running up those cards before you.
That's
you're just like running them up. And I think whether it's like a WorldCoin or a Federal Reserve issued digital asset, I feel like there'll be some move to switch to a different asset that will essentially forgive all of this money printing. Because I mean, $32 trillion. When I was a kid, I remember when I was in my early 20s,
we already have gold. You keep forgetting that. Like, I know Bitcoin is here, but gold has been around. If you want a different currency or a different store of value, you can have it.
But they took us off the gold standards for
you can buy gold and put it in your.
I'm saying you can, but I'm saying the government. In order for the government to actually pay this debt down, it's almost impossible because every dollar that they borrow from the Federal Reserve is borrowed at debt.
Okay, so
that's another thing. Going into
I hate explaining in this loop, but the way our system works is through debt. There is no other way. It's literally built on debt.
Right, which means that hyperinflation is the end result of all fiat currency.
Well, maybe in 100 years.
That's like, well, you keep printing more, But
that's why when our kids might die before this shit has to hit the fan. Well, it's gonna hit the fan eventually.
This is why it is so important to invest your money. because if you don't invest your money, it's sitting in the bank, is melting ice. It is a tax. Inflation is a tax. There was that short that we
I think
watched
inflation is making us rich, but I guess everyone has their own say on this.
Inflation makes your asset. Yeah, people who are holding assets, it makes them rich because
That's
it requires more fiat to buy it. But inherently, it is devaluing the underlying currency because you do need more to buy it. But as long as your stuff's inflating more than the rate of inflation, you're fine.
This is good for us, by the way. Inflation is good for us. Everyone forgets about that.
But for people that don't, you will end up broke.
I've said this before.
We'll get to this conversation again.
Well, hold on, but I said this before. The reason you buy real estate is also basically because you control your inflation. While everybody else is fucked and their rent has gone up 2x in the last 5 years or whatever, you don't. You got a 30-year rate at 3%, and so you're sitting pretty because you don't have to do anything. Okay, so you've capped your inflation in your personal inflation, sort of, and everybody else is screwed. So that's why it's important to buy real estate and sort of control that, and including assets. That's what happens with assets.
Okay. So we got to talk about.
And I still have XRP.
Has XRP been pumping still?
Well, it did pump a little bit.
And just happy to see it back on the.
And Ren pointed out, but I still have my XRP. I've never sold a whole lot, so if it hopefully keeps pumping, so I can get rid of that shit.
Okay, so this was before earnings, July 25th, 179. And actually, no, this was right before earnings, 166, and then there's the drop, 150. It's not showing how much worse it got.
It went to 137, I think.
Yes, it went to 137.
And I bought 100 shares at 142 and change. And
okay, well, here's the question, Vitaly: is this Enphase dip, you think, getting worse? Because the recovery to me from 137 to 150 has been. It seems like there's money on the sidelines, ready to gobble this up.
Yeah,
do you feel the same, or?
Well, there's good prices, and in fact, I think someone in our Anthony C in our Discord looks at volume profiles, right?
I was going to say, what is the volume? Yeah,
and the volume profile is basically Enphase wants to sit around 165-ish. That's where the massive volume profile is. So where a lot of people come in, a lot of buys come in. So we're under that right now, right? So you would think there'd be more buys. But having said that, they still guided for a bad Q3. So look, the market is not forward looking in terms of Q1 2024. They're looking at Q3 right now, right? They're not looking at Q2 and Q3. I'm sorry, Q2, Q3 of 2024, 2025. That's what I'm looking at. I know where Enphase is going during that time. But during Q3, we could still have either stay stagnant or hit that 130 we keep talking about. So I'm still expecting that if there's a drawdown in the market, whatever, a 5-10%, Enphase would get hit with everybody else. So I would finally get my 130 and I could put in a lot more money into it. So I still think there's a DCA.
Do you think Q3 is baked in already? Like, all right, it's going to be a bad quarter, and because it recovered even off of a shitty Q3.
I think Badri is always giving you solid facts, but he's also sandbagging a bit because he's taking the same circumstances as right now and projecting them forward, right? So he's obviously hoping for a better outcome. And Enphase has, in its history, tended to outperform. But having said that, we are still in a high interest rate environment that has not changed. The Fed technically has not paused, even though the market already is assuming the pause is in. Okay, look at the 10-year yield and all that. I'm not even one of those guys that looks at all that shit. And basically, they're all assuming we're inflation is dead. Right? That's it. So all of this is going to change over the next year or two, but you have to be patient. A lot of people are not patient. I'm still going to keep DCAing, even if it's going to 130 and 117 or whatever people think it's going to. But anyone think it's going under that? You're crazy. Honestly, you are crazy. So your downside is to maybe 117. And after that, I think it's blue skies.
And real quick, Carlos, before you go, and that's if the market lets it. Because again, it gobbled it at 140. And I'm not saying we can't have a pullback, but I thought all right, the bottom's out. It's going to be a falling knife. And no, there was investors ready to buy this damn stock at 140.
Well, this is why I wanted to bring this up. I mean, if you just look at these bands here, okay, so this is Enphase when nobody knew about Enphase, okay? This is Enphase as it was running up, just regular retail investor and some minor institutions. And then it started to get some mainstream attention. And look at this. This is in 2021, right? And you can see that there is always been heavy accumulation at these levels, right? So you're looking at a bottom of we've got 150 here to 194. There's been a lot of accumulation here. And you can see once it runs up past this, it kind of dips back down. Maybe it overcorrected and then it starts to accumulate again. Runs up past it, dips back down, it's accumulation again. We've run up so far past it that now it's coming back down, but now it's back in this channel. So what I'm thinking is these are a lot of people What you're seeing now, the gobbling up, is a lot of people that were sitting on the sidelines here that wanted to accumulate it, but then watched it get away from them. Now that it got away from them, they're saying, I don't give a fuck. I'm not letting it get away from me again. And so they could be maybe booing the stock regardless of Q3 guidance and Q4. So yeah, maybe in Q3, when they actually have produced the numbers, we might see a dip back again, but it's possible that we run up back into this little frothy area. But if you look at its overall trend, this is where it wants to be. This is where it wants to be. So when we talk about like returning to the mean, it's still sitting way, way, way below where it wants to be in terms of.
Well, I agree with Carlos, by the way. This is a massive accumulation region. That is absolutely true. So when I say like 130, like 150, 130, I mean, in the long scale.
It's all the same area. Yeah.
I mean, it's like,
area.
It honestly doesn't matter. I do want to show my chart against chart.
Shout out to 600 people here on a Monday.
Shit.
Hope
What's
you're having a good
up?
day. We're going to talk about Palantir in a little bit. Don't think I forgot.
Oh, God. Okay, I think I got to leave. But let me just finish this chart thing with Enphase.
Jesus Christ. Doesn't it look like a guitar? It's like, here's
So-
an F chord.
Oh
G
my God.
chord.
No, okay, so there is a method to
It's
the
like
madness,
Vitaly's
okay?
coloring book, yo. It's like
There
the,
is a
the
method to the
3-year-old,
madness.
you give him the crayons and just say, shut up and play.
Well, let me point out a couple of things because it can get confusing if you don't follow this actively like I do. Like this is one of the only companies I chart this crazy, by the way. So Enphase here, we're still in a downtrend, by the way. We crossed. I thought we might have broken out and going sideways, but we are technically still in the downtrend. We are underneath this trend line. See that? It touched. And we might fail. And that's why I'm saying like 130 is a real possibility. And the other massive support is at 117. You better bet your ass you better be ready for this. Okay. So I'm not saying I'm not dollar cost average. I'm doing it, but we are still in a downtrend. We still have an opportunity to pick up cheap shares.
How
but
do you
it
know when
did-
the downtrend reverses?
it has to break out and stay above it? So right now we broke out, but we crashed right below it. In fact, we gap below it, which is actually great, by the way. If you believe in this whole gap theory, when we come back, we're going straight to 168. Like as soon as it
How
passes
long
this
does it have
gap,
to stay above the thing you said it has to break out?
I
of?
mean, there's no.
You need a couple of consecutive days of like
I
you
think
want to see.
I would
good
say you need
daily
a couple of
closes,
weeks. You
good
need a couple
weekly
of weeks.
closes. You know what I mean? You want to see
Yeah.
that it's, or the real test would be that it retests it and now it becomes a support, right? So it passes it, then it hits that number again on a downtrend and then bounces off of it again. Now you realize that people are not selling at that level anymore.
I'm going to point out, I've pointed out 1,000 times, but I'm sure not everybody's an old time Enphase follower of our channel. So basically, look, if we are underneath the 200-day, this green line, you see that, Amit?
Yes.
We've talked about this before. And when the RSI is basically shit at around 30, and we're basically there, it's not saying you can't go lower. Enphase has gone lower, but if you look at the chart, and people should do this as an exercise at home, look at every time it's in the 30s for RSI and under the 200-day, it's usually a great time.
Is
to
it under 30 right
accumulate.
now on the RSI?
It's at
currently?
32 right now or something like that.
Okay,
32.
got you.
So
there's
even
no,
around
there's
30.
no momentum. There's no momentum. It's
So-
basically there's no momentum on the buy or the sell side. People are accumulating, but it's not like there's.
But that's
a
important.
rush
This
to
is
interrupt
when
the
you accumulate. You don't wait for some magical numbers like everybody keeps thinking they can hit the bottom. Okay, unless you guys are Chris, you're definitely not going to get the bottom. Okay.
That's for
So
sure.
if you're not Chris, then everybody else should be dollar cost averaging if you believe in whatever company you believe in. So I'll just keep dollar cost averaging because I have a share count in mind. It's not exactly
How many shares do you have of Enphase, Vitaly?
I'm not going to tell you that, but there's a share. And some guy mentioned that, oh, I should have bought Palantir at 300. No, I sold a lot of shares at 300 and we talked about it.
You
And I bought a pool. I bought Teslas. I fixed my house. I did a bunch of shit that I wanted to do with money for the family. So I did all of that stuff. And now Enphase is back under. Now I'm looking at what do I convert? I converted my AT&T to Enphase. I converted my Verizon to Enphase because those dividends don't mean shit when Enphase is
What's
at
the
150.
next biggest position you have that you are ready to get rid of for Enphase?
Oh, I'm not ready to get rid of, but my Tesla's
No,
actually
not
bigger
those.
than
I'm talking
Enphase.
about the stocks you actually don't care about, but you have positions.
Oh,
in.
care about? Well, next time I already got rid of TFC completely.
Okay.
I'm out of TFC. I made a little
Okay.
bit of money. I'm totally out. I could care less about the bank.
Okay.
It means nothing to me. The next thing I'm looking at is
Probably
actually
SoFi, right? Next thing will be SoFi.
no. I think SoFi still has room to run, so I want to leave that going. And Meta has a lot of room to run too. And it ran.
That is correct.
Meta actually became a way bigger part of my portfolio than I even wanted ever.
How
So-
much? 20%? 25%?
No, it's lower than, but it's still it started off like at a couple percent, and it's It's a lot now. Okay. I don't want to get rid of it yet because I think we're going over 400. So I'll leave that alone. But I think what I'm looking at is actually, I have a lot of, what's it called? Salesforce. So
You have
I'm looking
Salesforce.
Yeah.
Are you
and I was
bad holding it or are you up on it?
I was down on Salesforce. Now I'm totally break even on Salesforce.
Okay.
Not making money, not losing any money. So I'm thinking that's the one that has to go for Enphase next.
Okay. Let's do this real super chat real quick from David. Would it make sense for SoFi to buy GS consumer banking divisions, including Apple Card and Marcus high interest savings account? So no, because SoFi doesn't have the money to buy out a Goldman Sachs consumer banking product. But more importantly, Goldman Sachs shut it down. Marcus has been a failure. They shut it down. It's not going to operate anymore, or at least for the foreseeable future.
Wait. Hold on. What happens to my Apple Card?
I don't know, but Marcus is not a thing anymore. Or
so somebody else is taking it over, I assume, because
I don't even know what the Apple Card thing is still working with Goldman Sachs, but their whole like SoFi product that Goldman Sachs tried to make internally, that's failed. And they've admitted it failed. So SoFi, that's why SoFi is the real deal. It's really hard to make a digital bank and make it all in one, and SoFi figured it out.
And it's hard to have a guy like Noto. You need a guy like Noto running it. Absolutely.
My only concern is that they get big, they get too big too fast and get bought out. That would be something, depending on the valuation.
Even if they do, it'll be a healthy acquisition. I mean,
let's get a 5x multiple and call it a day.
Yeah, call it a day.
I know, but if they don't, they have a real shot at disrupting the traditional banking system in a way that they can't copy.
What I think they're going to try to do long term.
Listen, I hope so. I hope so, because it's prime for a disruption, and we need that. We need that younger generation to come in and sort of dictate how things are going to go and disrupt some of these legacy players. They can't just necessarily copy their way to the same success. So that would be, depending on the multiple, it'd be cool if it was a high multiple, but I still would not want to see them bought out.
Yeah. All right. We got to talk about another stock that is an interesting company.
Okay, guys. It's time.
Look, there's not much. First of all, I'm going to do a live stream at 9 p.m. So for everyone who wants to join daily Palantir shareholders meeting, we're going to talk all about Palantir. Yeah, look, Palantir's at $20. My opinion, the same thing I'm going to say on the live stream, it is overvalued right now. There is nothing you can put against it. The company's growing 18% year over year. They're barely profitable. They are overvalued. However, and I want to get your guys' take on this, Dan Ives did not put out that report because he thinks Q2 earnings is going to shit the bed. I mean, the more I think about it, the more I think he's evaluated the marketplace. His institutional investors don't want the Magnificent Seven anymore. They've already made a shit ton of money because of that. They're saying, Dan, we pay you a lot of money to find the next
right.
What's the next AI? And I think he looked around the marketplace and was like, fuck, it's Palantir. And he said in his CNBC stuff, he's like, I'm talking to these CIOs and they're telling me Palantir is the only one we talk to. And he's like putting the dots together. They've probably been researching it for months. They came to the Palantir conclusion. Anything from you guys that are not the biggest bulls on Palantir that Dan Ives convinced you a little bit on, or still just not interested at all?
I think he has a tendency of chasing the stock price.
I was about to agree with that.
How do you know that? As a Tesla shareholder, can you give some context for?
Oh no, as a Tesla shareholder, yeah. What he'll do is he'll find a reason to justify an increased price target when he sees that the momentum is going that way, and he'll come up with some sort of his Danisms to those little sound bites that get him some airplay. And look, he's smart. It's not to say that he doesn't mean what he actually says, but where was he when the stock was $5-6? You know what I'm saying? That's when you say, okay, the guy's really reading.
And where was he when Tesla was 100? He was saying, "Don't buy it." By the way,
he was actually one of the people that was helping push it down because
he was saying it's not worth it.
Seeing headwinds, they need to start advertising. These price cuts are horrible. I posted something on Twitter the other day. I posted something on Twitter this morning. Ford is now going to lose $1.5 billion extra this year because of Tesla's price cuts. So they were going to lose 3. Now they're saying they're going to lose 4.5, and they're also saying that they're not going to meet their production targets. That was clearly what the price cuts were meant to do. Nobody saw that. Tesla got shit on for it. And you know what? In a month or two, Dan Ives will come out and say this was a great move.
No, but Dan Ives downgraded Tesla to like 175 when it went down to 100. To me, that was him actually not being like biased towards Tesla. He was actually like being logical that, look, this Twitter overhang is a big deal. It ended up not being, but he's a short-term guy. He downgraded, and so like that's what he's supposed to do.
Yeah,
right?
But he goes on and then tells everybody that it's not worth buying right now. There's better deals in the market.
Oh, at 100, he said that it's not worth buying?
No, he gives that intention. When he goes on CNBC, he's basically saying, don't buy this right now because this is going down. This is not worth it because of all these overhangs. When at 170, 150, 130, you should be like, well, you guys should be buying it now. He wasn't saying that. He waited till 250, and then he comes in on CNBC and starts saying,
Yeah, they'll go 15%.
They've changed everything
15%
now.
higher.
They're making the
15% higher.
Cybertruck. It's coming out, and the whole thesis is different. No, nothing's changing the year. It's the same fucking thesis. Okay.
Because it fundamentally defeats the purpose of what a price target is supposed to be. A price target is supposed to be what the fair value of the company is based on, say, whatever guidance and what the company is doing. It's not supposed to be justification for what the share price is now.
Yeah,
Mm.
they all chase share prices.
And
these
this
guys.
is what happens. And so if he's giving you a price target, what he's saying is over the next 12 to 18 months, if they continue to execute, this is what it should be valued at, right? That shouldn't change if Elon Musk bought Twitter or, you know, or if they lower prices. You literally say, this is what the company's worth. And we just see that the stock price is either a very good deal right now, or it's too close to what its fair value is. Maybe it's a hold. Or maybe it's
so what is your perception of him coming out with this 25 Palantir? What do you think he's trying to do here? Why is he doing this?
What I think he's doing is he's trying to look like the Oracle, because I think he sees where it's going. This AI thing, right? Nvidia started this thing. People were joking about it on your call this morning. If Anthony Noto just said AI a few more times, that thing would have been $15. You know what I'm saying? It seems to be the buzzword now, just like HD was years ago. Or
Badri needs to say that we have AI in our microinverters.
We have AI in our HD microinverters. The thing's going to be a $500 stock tomorrow. And so
you think he's chasing a narrative, and that's who he is from the Tesla? Because you're very familiar with him as a Tesla investor. He's been a big guy for you, right?
Yeah. And I've interacted with him. So it's not to say he doesn't know what he's talking about, but I think in these instances,
no, he's a chaser.
He's where it's going.
That guy's a
and
chaser.
He's trying to get ahead of it so he can look like a genius when it hits the $24 price target. Which, by the way, I mean, even you, one of the biggest Palantir bulls, it's way overvalued. They have to prove that.
Yes.
Especially,
and I think that's what he's anticipating, that they're going to grow into it. And so Q2 next week, if they don't.
No, I don't think he's saying they're going to grow into it. I think he's saying the stock price is going to run there, and then he's going to do the victory lap on CNBC, and then he's going to be talking about how it's overvalued. Maybe it's time to get a little pullback, and maybe he's got a bunch of shares that he wants.
First of all,
he might be willing to dump it.
Shares. I mean,
there's nothing wrong with being in terms of following a trend, because that's what traders do. They follow trends, right? We look at these charts to follow a trend. So even when I follow these guys all-star charts and they explain everything, they're not actually doing fundamental analysis on stocks. They're just following the trend. And they're saying that's all that's important. If Dan Ives came out and said the trend is up, okay, the trend is up right now for Palantir, is going to 25, I would say, hey, you're probably right, because the trend is going that way.
Bring up a chart.
But he doesn't talk about that. He talks about how they're changing AI and they're doing this, but he wasn't there at $5. He wasn't there at 10. He waited till it's 20. Like, come on.
Yeah, a couple things. John, thank you for the super chat. Not trying to ignore your super chat, just didn't really know how to respond to this. No female period jokes in the title.
Yeah, well, by the way, we all disagreed with his title.
And John's point is, as uncomfortable as that super chat, John's point would be, as comfortable as that super chat made you, is as uncomfortable as you made the female.
Bro, there was this older lady who DM'd me on Twitter yesterday.
You showed us.
And she was like, Amit, I love the finance junkies, everything you're doing. I'm learning how to invest. But that title just made me so upset at you. And I was like my grandma scolding you.
Yeah, that's messed up, man.
It was a funny title. No, I will not apologize for that.
No, you should. Hilarious. You're insulting 0.000001 of
it's
our
not insulting.
audience.
It is destigmatizing the feeling we have around periods. I think it's actually very
whatever, dude. All right, no more.
Real quick, before we get into the charts, I want you guys to answer this question because I think you'll have a good response. Amit, I had 5,000 Palantir shares today. I paper-handed, which means he sold 3,000 of them because I was afraid of being too heavy on Palantir. I have 2,000 shares left. Did I do something stupid? Vitaly Carlos, what would you say?
Bring up a chart. Let's bring up a chart.
No, I would say no. Okay, because you probably made some money at this point, and you sold half of it, which is probably smart, and now the other half can ride. What's wrong with this?
But that's the question, because he could have bought it at 25 like Amit.
Well, if you bought it at 25, I don't know.
Hey, you bought it at 25.
You gotta know. You gotta know what it was.
I took my lick.
You gotta know
my lick, whatever it's called.
What was the cost basis? What was?
Look, my answer is, let's say he got a profit. My answer is, bro, this is my thing on Palantir. I'm holding this shit till 2030. But come hell or high glory, I'm holding. And so that's why I am so at peace. Like, I have zero desire to sell at 20, even though I think it's overvalued. Because if it goes to 11, I'll buy. So, like, this is one of those companies, as you said, qualitatively, the numbers don't support it. But the fucking PRs I see every day are making me think this is a once in a generation company.
But bro, the way you talk about it, you make it sound like a diagnosis. I got this thing. I got hepatitis. I'm gonna hold it and I'm gonna deal with it for 10 years. And I'm gonna.
But I want to. Like, I really don't want to be in 2030.
Look. There's no problem selling half your shares if you're up double, whatever, somewhere around there even. Then the other shares are free. You don't have to worry about them. You've released that mental.
He said
Hold
his
on.
average cost was $10.
Yeah,
Average
you
cost.
released that mental
Yeah.
pressure. I've sold Enphase, dude, at 300. I did not want to sell it. I felt it was an opportune time, and I hated myself for it, but I did it. And now I'm getting a reward for it by buying shares again. But still, even if it didn't, and it just kept going up, a big fucking deal. Okay, you made your money. Congratulations. The rest of the shares are free. Just let the rest ride.
And I agree with Vitaly on all of that. It's just Palantir's that one stock where I don't know if I want
One
to ever
stock.
time it. I just want to let it play out. Jesse, first rule of finance junkies, don't talk about periods.
I don't
That was
disagree.
funny, Jesse.
I
Thank you
don't
for- thank you for the
disagree. I
super
don't
chat.
think we need to go there.
Okay, real quick, and then we'll look at the charts. David, another super chat. Thank you, David. Who's more fun on a road
Damn
trip?
it.
Amit versus Vitaly versus other guy.
Other guy.
Other guy's
Who's other
Carlos.
guy?
I
Who's other
think-
guy? Is the other guy Carlos? I don't know.
Other
who's
guy's
that.
Carlos.
I guess it's me.
Shout out to
Oh, boy.
672 people here. Please let us know in the chat who's more fun. I think it's Carlos. I think Carlos is like gonna have a
Yo,
ball.
because you want to be in the plaid, baby.
we're
We'll get there
gonna
fast.
They're all saying I'm a good trader. I'm not. I'm a long-term investor. But look, I'll snipe an opportunity. I got my PayPal calls going because it's obvious that it's going up.
I think the definition of like long-term investor, people think that means you just buy something today, you never look at it again, and you hold on to it forever.
For like
And-
100 years. Yeah. What's
This
the
is
point of that?
when we talk about, but if it's like if you're holding on something and it ran up, 100, 200, 300%, it's irresponsible not to take the profit. It
Remember-
doesn't mean that you're betraying your long-term investment strategy. You're
Yes.
just reacting to something. It's in the same way that if you put 10 grand into a stock and then it tanks 50% and you still believe in it, well, maybe you want to double down and buy another 5 grand so you can get your overall cost down. You have to still react to the market conditions. These things don't happen in a bubble.
Carlos, can you pull up Palantir while Vitaly's talking? Can you do some charting?
How do you know I was going to talk? Okay, so I was
I
going to
know
say,
you,
like,
bro.
well, no, so some of these people, maybe because I sold Enphase at 300, they think I'm a trader or whatever they're saying. But I was in it since $20, dude. I've made a lot of money on Enphase. I don't need to keep every single share.
How much money have you made on Enphase in precise dollar?
I'm not getting into that.
In Bitcoin, how much Bitcoin have you made on it? 17 Bitcoin?
I made a lot on Bitcoin too. Bitcoin and Ethereum. Me and Carlos were there, and I've been in Bitcoin for like 12 years. So yeah, I made a lot on Bitcoin too.
And I still believe that a year from now, maybe a year from now, what, July 31st, maybe not July, but like next August, September, I think that's going to be one of the biggest opportunities that like you and Chris missed out on because you say it's junk,
absolutely.
or it's whatever.
I'm putting 1,000 in Bitcoin. If it goes to 100,000,
I would wait. Honestly, I would wait.
Why would it go to 100,000? Like, that's not
what
that
Carlos
guy.
is telling me. Carlos is telling me it's going to
No.
100,000.
You got to buy
I would
shitcoin
wait.
for that. You got to
Yeah, I
buy
would
some. You got to buy XRP.
No, your thousand's not going to 100,000.
Buy
The
XRP.
coin will go to the coin itself. So
Okay, so what does the chart say for Palantir? Can you give us any analysis?
the chart looks like a Vitaly's pool. You could probably get about 10,000 gallons in here.
My pool, by the way, my pool's 20,000 gallons. Just FYI.
All right. Well, where are we?
Yeah, is there any? Because I don't really know how to do charting that well.
Jesus, this thing has run up.
I mean, Jesse on Twitter has shown some charts saying that Palantir is ready to break out above 24 or something. But I
Oh
don't
no,
know.
he posted something earlier today, which I actually think it's good to take a look at. See if this pops up. Let me see if this pops up. No, it's this one. Sorry.
Yeah, because
Just-
for him, he thinks we're ready to break some major level of resistance, and if earnings are good, then it pops.
Well,
kinda
you know,
just so fast.
it's those people that talk about. I'm gonna have to share a different screen. Hold on. Oh, it's this one. Sorry.
Vitaly, I need you to start coloring on Palantir on TradingView, just like you do with Enphase, just for me. So like,
you?
so that you can start sharing us this immaculate chart that you have on what is this one on Enphase?
I'll
Yeah.
take a look. I'll take a look.
It's a scribble.
Okay, we can probably look at some of the charts later and keep going into it.
It has run up 100. It has run up 106% on basically no news. I think a lot of this is just building up to earnings. And I think, look, and as much as Vitaly and I both shit on Karp, like I don't think he's the best, say, technical leader of the company, but he is good. He is good at saying the things that need to be said to get the stock price to do what it needs to do. That I have to give him for that. When he comes in and says things, he makes very bold, powerful statements like we're the leader. We're the leader. We're going to just crush everybody else. We're going to
take the whole market.
We're going to take the whole market. Like that's what you want to hear. That's very Steve Jobs, right? It's very Steve Jobs. Like,
and that's why I'm investing, bro. That's why I'm like,
Look, you told us there was the poetry, and the poetry's gone. There's no more poetry. It's now numbers, baby.
But you gotta have the financials to back it up. I mean,
no, I agree, and that's why I think it's overvalued on technicals because the financials aren't there. But I'm investing in that long-term vision. I really believe in it, and either I'm wrong in the next 10 years or I'm right. But
how many more quarters do they have before they can get S&P inclusion?
2. And that's the other thing. People aren't. When this
two
thing
more.
hits the S&P 500, it might have to be overvalued because
Well, it
people
has
just
to.
have to fucking
People have to buy it.
If it
But
does
are you
hit S&P,
familiar-
by the way, remember what happened to Tesla? The massive run up,
40%
and then the
up,
massive
I
dump.
was just gonna say,
Don't
have you
forget
ever
that
this weekend? Look,
agree.
this weekend, I'm going to show it to you. I'm going to show it to you so that I can, so that you know I'm not bullshitting. This weekend there was a big UFC, and
Yes, so 2 dudes were fighting. I don't keep up.
there
with
was
it.
more than 2 dudes.
Crawford,
So
right?
this was what I sent my buddy to say, who do you got, right? So this is me picking who I think was going to win. Basically the top 6 fights, bro. I called all 6 of them, like every single person
Wow.
that I said was going
You
to
should
win.
move to Las Vegas.
And then this is what my buddy wrote back. So my buddy, he was like, "Oh, this is who I think's going to win," and it was crazy because we usually do like little side bets on it. And
Did you bet? How much did you bet?
no, this was just with him. I just said, "Well, who do you got?" You know, and but we were
You got his
joking
house.
because
You got his house.
I should have taken his house. He's bull. But if you know how Vegas works, there's something called a parlay bet, and a parlay bet is when you bet on several outcomes to happen, and they usually pay out more, right? So if I say this person's gonna win, this person's gonna win, this
You
person,
bet on the underdog, right? That's when it.
not the underdog. It's betting. It's saying you're betting on 3 outcomes at the same time, and all
Oh, so
3
they
of
call
them
it
have
debit
to
spread
hit.
almost. Yeah.
Kind of right. So
Multi-legged trade.
I need.
Wait, listen to this. Amit, now he just thinks in options. This is a 2-leg
My
call
point is,
debit spread.
if I made
Getting obsessed.
my point is, if
His
I
whole
went to
portfolio is
Vegas,
now 99.9%
if I went to Vegas
options.
and made a 6-fight parlay bet, then all 6 of those need to win in order for me to get paid. And the payout is bigger, obviously, because you're betting on 6 fights
you
versus
gotta get
1
6 out
fight.
of, it's like a
And
lottery.
I nailed
almost.
them.
Six
Now,
numbers.
the reason I bring that up, yeah, I did guess Gainchi. AJ's asking. Yeah, I knew he was going to win. Anyway, what's happening with Palantir as they get closer to the S&P is a bit like a parlay bet, right? So every quarter that they have 2 more quarters to go. So 4 quarters ago, what was the stock price? $7, $8, $9, $10. As they get closer, that them getting included to the S&P is more and more likely. It's kind of like an option that's running out of its expiration. This is how I see it. So to your point, as we get closer to that, if they are even $1 fucking profitable in this next earnings, okay, then they have 1 left. And in that 1 left, to Vitaly's point, watch what happened to Tesla. They fucking shot through the roof leading up to it, and then there'll be a bit of a sell-off. So this is
if it's 100 billion market cap again, remember people what you're supposed to do.
You got to sell some, dude. Amit.
Yeah, Palantir touched the 100 billion 2021.
You got to sell some.
And it might touch it again.
That's more than Rivian.
It doesn't mean it'll stay there.
I don't know if we can get to 100 billion in this next bull cycle, bro. I mean, if the
a lot of
market
things will
gets
be
that crazy,
yeah.
Because I
just
just
said there's
I think we're in a bull run
on the sidelines.
Yeah, but I think we're in a bull run. But I don't know if we're in a bull run to the point where it's 2021, where a picture of a rock is selling for 5 million. Like, I don't know if we're in that type of market.
No, not yet. But after 2024, we might be in that situation. Absolutely.
But even with interest rates at 4.7,
you guys keep talking about interest rates because you're all 20 years old. Okay, in real life, in the last 20, 30 years, these are normal interest rates. I know you keep talking about it like these are super high and they're so crazy. I bought houses at 8-9%, no problem. I will do it again. In fact, coming up, I will do it again. They are not that high. They are standard. The last 10 years, we had a massive run, obviously, because the interest rate was 0. That was an unusual time. This is not the standard. Okay, the standard is what we're in right now.
And to your point, there's still this money that they printed is somewhere. It's got to come into the market. They're waiting for it. And to be honest, like, they're not lending the money. The money that's coming into the market is not being lent. It only affects the companies that they would invest in, their ability to raise capital, right? It's not like that's stopping them from investing. So if they get this inclusion into the S&P, it's going to need to be rebalanced. And especially if if they get that AI multiple, if they get that AI premium, right? Because right now they're seen as this like defense contractor. I think they're seen more in like a Lockheed Martin, Boeing conversation. But if they can change the narrative and say, yes, the defense is part of what we do on the side, but our real play is AI and helping companies become more efficient. Forget about it, dude. I mean, that's where you get those $100 billion valuations.
Did Vitaly just get 6 positive comments.
I know, in a row.
I love that point. Thank you. Vitaly spit facts.
I've never had that in a
Everyone
row.
just keep complimenting Vitaly. You're just gonna stroke his ego so much right now. You're gonna love it.
Listen, if these people have been following me, they made a lot of money.
Let me answer
advice.
Yes, let me answer one comment and then we're gonna do. I have one final question for you guys. I'm afraid to be bullish on Palantir. So actually, when it was $7-8, I was so bullish on the company, I got skeptical of the stock, and that stopped. And that's something I learned from Vitaly and Carlos. Like, yo, if you're really bullish, if you fucking believe in it, right?
Yep.
And I didn't believe in it enough with my capital at the time, which I should have. Now, because I think I've grown as an investor in 2021 when I bought it at $25, I didn't know what a market capitalization was. Now that it's changed.
Stocks. Yeah.
Right. So now it's not that I'm not bullish on Palantir. I don't want to sell till 2030. However, I'm not an idiot. So for example, I just had an investment banker call me. His name is Sebastian. I did a podcast with him a long time ago. And
you posted that. You posted
that.
We
did an interview in 2022 and he went through an hour and a half of all the numbers Palantir needs to hit just to even hit $80, like real investment banker shit. And he calls me and he's like, bro, can you justify the valuation? And I'm on the phone. I'm like, bro, I can't justify. I'm like, can you? He's like, I've been through the numbers for 4 days straight, like off my work time. I'm like trying to do this on my own laptop and I can't justify it. And I'm like, I agree with you. But we both concluded the market is the market. The narrative is the narrative, whatever. But the numbers at this level cannot be justified unless Q2 hits it out of the park. And so we got to see what happens.
Once again, that doesn't mean get rid of, like, so at some point people should take a little bit of off the table, but you never get rid of the whole position. If you believe in something so strongly, that's why I look, if like we talking about that guy who had 5,000 shares, now he has half of those. Big deal. Like 2,000-3,000 shares will be a lot of shares if this goes where you guys are talking about, right?
Yes.
That's not a small position.
Yeah.
So take that money that you made, put it into something else that is down, is not doing well. It doesn't mean get rid of all your shares if it's running out.
And to your point, he's calling me because he's kind of worried because he sold January 2024 covered calls and he got 4,000 in premium. He's thinking of buying it back from the market, but because the stock's run up, he would have to lose 4,000 just to buy back the initial 4,000 in premium. And so that's the advice I was telling him is like, yes, like maybe it could be overvalued, but you don't want to sell covered calls when AI momentum is crazy, when S&P earnings is coming up. Like this is not the time to be selling covered calls on pound. I don't care if it's $30 covered calls. You don't want to do it right now.
And this is to TJ. Sorry, TJ, but this is how people lose massive wealth, because if I kept doing what everybody was saying, sell my whole position, covered calls, you realize Enphase went from $20 to $340. Where would I have lost them? That's the question. At 100, at 120, at 160? I don't know. Where would I have lost them?
Right, but it depends on how high you set it. You set it.
No, but usually I do out of the money. But still, like if I bought it at 20 and I started doing the wheel back at $20, they'd be gone by $60 for sure.
Yeah, and he bought these covered calls when Palantir was $16. So he was like, oh, in 8 months, there's no way Palantir goes from $16 to $24, almost like $25 billion market cap to close to what is it, $42 billion market cap. Yeah. But it happened. It happened in like 2 weeks. And so he's the investment banker calling me saying, look, I ran the numbers and I'm still thinking of buying back those covered calls because I understand how the market can get crazy.
So he's concerned. Was he calling to tell you that you should be selling some shares?
No, he was calling me to be like, what's going on with Palantir? And I told him, look, I think it's overvalued, but the market is the market, and this is the narrative that's playing out. And
look, if they've never,
why Dan Ives put out the report, and he's like, you might be fucking right, and that's why.
If they've just started making money, then they were always overvalued. It's just a matter of what's the tolerance in the market and how much they believe in him, right? The other part of this too. This is another part of it specific to Palantir.
By the way, real quick, Carlos, before we finish, shout out to 700 people.
Wow.
Whoa.
Thank you all for being here.
And here I thought they all came to see Kris.
Well, hold on. We have 700 people and 121 of them only hit the like. So please hit like and subscribe real quick.
Hit the like button and subscribe.
If you're new to this,
let us know in the chat if you're new to the podcast.
Whoever the mods are, post the new channel because we're going to be switching to that.
And if you're enjoying the chats, please share it with your friends. I'm sure they want to learn something.
Share and interact with us.
Edu entertainment. What is it called? Edutainment.
And interact with us on Twitter. We do the same shit. My point with Palantir, the last point I was going to make with Palantir.
Thank you, Jesse.
Thank you, Jesse. Yo, he's like a sugar daddy, bro. He's literally like a.
I know he was in the one this morning for $50.
Yeah, appreciate you, man.
He's like,
this guy, man. Let me put his Twitter in the chat as well. This guy,
dude, I know how much you made on PayPal. Up that shit up.
look at Technical Trader Wong. He's like, there was pent up demand. So every day we miss a day, people come back.
Oh my god, Jesse Dow is up $2 million this year. If you guys don't follow him on Twitter,
that's amazing.
Follow him and check out what he's doing. You should follow him and check out what he's doing. He's super transparent.
Okay, well,
He's super
Jesse could
helpful.
definitely have 6 pools. I cannot compare to that guy in terms of returns.
All right, Carlos, go ahead.
The point that I was going to make about Palantir, and this is specific to them, is that the market allows them a certain bit of secrecy because of the nature of their business. They allow them a certain bit of secrecy and takes them at, say, 2.4 million.
2.4. Who's counting? 2.4.
Yeah, you know, Jesse, I can't respect the $10 gift anymore. I just,
Jesse, what's going on, buddy?
Add some more zeros.
That's kind of cheap now, damn it.
I mean, $100 maybe. Come on.
Congrats to Jesse. That's amazing.
I'm kidding. Thank you, everybody. I
So my
appreciate
point
no
is
matter
that
what.
Yeah,
I
but Tally
think-
doesn't get the super chats anyway, so he can't say shit.
Yeah, I don't get shit anyway.
So my point is that I think there is a certain amount of secrecy and taking at their word that the market will give them just because of the nature of their business that other companies would not be allowed. Like you'll see on the earnings call, I think he'll be, he'll dodge questions that other CEOs may have to answer. And it'll be okay. He'll just say, well, we can't talk about those things because it's because of Ukraine and blah, blah, blah. And then that's it. Moving on to the next question. And what can you really say?
It's true. And look, I look, the investment banker, his name is Sebastian. He's a big Tesla shareholder, and he also was like duped by this Dan Ives announcement. He was like, bro, I do not think Dan Ives is putting out a $25 price target to see the stock tank to $10. He's like, the timing of this, he could have waited till after Q2. It just makes zero sense.
I just want to point, hold on. Let me go into this a little bit. His covered calls are for when? 2024?
No, an analyst is always 1 year out, but he didn't specifically.
No.
say.
Yeah, your trader friend.
Oh, his covered calls are January 2024, $20 calls.
$20 calls.
So, covered calls, meaning
I know at 20,
above,
so it's already at 20.
He's sold them at 20.
He's
Okay.
currently losing his shares.
So he's worried about it.
I mean, it honestly, it could be over 20 by 2024. I think he did it too soon. But if he did something like 2025, I would say the stock is going to be very volatile. Like it's going to go up and it's going to go down. But he might lose him because it's coming up. 2024 is coming up.
What did Jesse do? Did he just gift a bunch of subscriptions?
I don't know.
Ray got one. AJ got one. Jesse's just fucking.
How do you
crazy, bro.
how do you give a subscription?
Took your
What is
comments
that?
seriously.
What memberships? What are the memberships for?
Oh my god, he gave a bunch of people subscribe. How many?
I'm not following. How does that work?
So subscription is basically for $5 you can subscribe to my channel just to support the channel, and people can gift subs, which means like
Oh,
I can gift people 10 subs, and then 10 people get a month free
Oh.
based
Oh.
on someone else gifting the sub. It's
I didn't
Twitch
know that.
does this
Cool.
thing.
Oh, that's so cool.
is that on YouTube? Is that what they do, or Patreon?
They do it on Twitter and on YouTube and Twitch. Did he give out 20 subscriptions? That's insane. bro.
That's all.
All
You know,
right.
the thing about
Well,
a guy
once
like
again,
Jesse,
Jesse, I get fucked because you gave it to a Mitt.
the thing about a guy like
Jesse,
Jesse,
thank you, man. You don't have to do this, bro. Really appreciate you a lot.
Yeah,
don't have to
you
do
can
this.
stop. You can stop. My
the
address.
thing about a guy
I'll
like
tell you-
Jesse
I'll
is like
text you my
he's
personal
clearly
address.
the thing about a guy like Jesse for the third time is he's clearly doing well. So it's like, what can you give him back? Like, you know what I mean? Like
Entertainment.
it's
Edu
hard, like,
entertainment.
there's nothing I could give
Entertainment.
him back other than like saying, say thank you or to just to promote him.
Now, because we're on this topic, let me make a point real quick. So my mom has this rule. She's been really stringent on me the past couple of days to make sure I follow it, to donate 2% of your income every month. So I calculated however much I made over the past couple of months, 6 months, halfway check into the year, because I haven't done it all year because I've been super busy. I got the amount. I went to Bank of America. I got the cash. And
Mhm.
what I'm doing, which is new in my life, is I'm going to small businesses and I'm giving them a fat stack of cash.
What? Why don't you give
Yes.
it to actual poor people?
What
on
do
the
you mean?
street?
Wait,
No.
what do you mean?
Because
What do you mean by a small business?
So
Give an
like
example.
no. So the local Dunkin' Donuts, I know it's a franchise, but
He's
there's
supporting Indians, guys.
no. There's immigrants there, Hispanic immigrants that I've known for a long time that are
Yeah.
there, and I know they're like 60-year-old women working at a Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah.
Like you need, it's not.
So you're
the
giving
best
them a
thing.
personal tip? Is that
I'm
what you're
literally
doing?
giving them tomorrow $50 when I get my coffee.
Nice.
I'm trying to do this at a bunch of. There's a local pizzeria.
That
I
is
walked by
nice.
their place when I got a haircut. They were empty. Like when I mean empty, I was like, they was empty. I want to go tomorrow and just give 200. And like that's how I want to allocate my 2% of income. That my mom's like, you got to do this, and she's right. You got to do this. So
You know,
should
I still haven't
record
gotten my
it.
check. I
You
still
should
haven't gotten
record
my
it.
check, Amit.
You should
Your check
record
was what?
those. You should record those.
no, I don't want to record it. Even saying it, I shouldn't be saying it because I don't want any sympathy.
No.
for that,
You
but, like,
actually, I think Mr. Beast did something similar. Didn't he do like $10,000?
that's
but
how
Mr. Beast gave a fucking million, and now he's
No, no,
like,
that's in the beginning,
That's
it was
how
like
Mr. Beast
10,000.
started. Mr. Beast started. He would take all the money that he would make on YouTube, and it would be like
Yeah.
10,000, and we just give it to like a bum, and then he would record it, make some more money, and then he'd go out and give more money to people. I'm not saying that you do it specifically for that, but if you're doing it anyway,
I mean, yeah, the IMNOP has a good argument as well. Do it as a tax deduction. The problem is like a lot of these charitable causes I don't trust to be like, a lot of them are corrupt. And like, I want to see it go to real people. I want to see the look on the lady's face when I give her $50 because I know that'll actually make an impact in her life tomorrow. You know,
there's a YouTube channel that does something similar where they go up to someone and they ask them for like $10. And then
you want to double it or
no, he'll say, can I get $10? Like, hey man, I'm looking to get some gas. I don't have any gas. And someone will be like, no man, get out of here. Gas is too expensive. And he'll go up to a bunch of people at a gas station. And then somebody will be like, yeah, sure. I'll put my credit card, whatever. And then they'll swipe the credit card, give them the $10 in gas. Then he comes back and gives them $1,000. And he does it in front of the people that all said no. And they're all like, you know what I mean? Or he'll go to somebody in line and he'll skip them in line. And then they'll be like, hey, man, what's your problem? And he'll be like, whatever. Then he'll say, you know what? I'm going to pay for everything of the guy behind me. It's like this, a pay it forward thing. I could see.
Speaking of this,
he gave it.
So for those that don't know, I sold $12,000.
Yeah, that's it. Top-notch idiots.
Worth of calls for my sister last week to give her back her initial capital. If I had waited, she would be up a lot of money today. She would be up probably 10 grand. I feel zero regret about it, to be honest. I'm at peace because the anxiety I felt the days before I didn't sell, I don't think I could have lived with that for the next week, bro. So,
well, first of all, she's still up, and you're not gambling with her money anymore. Now it's let the market do what it's going to do.
But I would imagine that this is the first time you've experienced that.
This is the first time I've used risk mitigation and been like, why did I not YOLO and just continue living my life? But then you go back to
I would say
mitigation is a real thing, and
before you went ahead and did that, you probably felt that you would feel so much regret at the missed out gains. And so now that
but what outweighed the feeling, which got me to pull the trigger, was like if SoFi tanks on earnings, which to be honest, I thought the market just might fucking sell them off, and we were down in pre-market before we recovered. And my sister's down on her initial. I'd be like,
you gotta make that phone call, and then on top of that, she'll never invest money again.
Or you hope she forgets. Never invest. You move on.
Bro, she didn't even know we had earnings today. And then when I told her they had earnings, she was like, "So how'd they do?" I was like, "Oh, they did well." And she's like, so I could have been up more money. And I was like, yo, chillax. I got you your 12 grand back, you know? So like,
wait, but hold on. You have half of it. How much did she make today?
I gave her back 10 grand. I took 2 grand from it because it just wasn't transferring from Robin.
And then you gave it to poor people.
No, I put it.
You gave it to a couple of Dunkin' Donuts people.
No, fuck you. I put it into some PayPal spreads. And so I think she'll be fine. She'll actually get some more money.
Well, this is what you're supposed to do, by the way. You make something in one thing and you spread it around so you don't lose it all in one thing.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
It's called diversification. It's okay to diversify into 5 different things.
Correct. So I gave her back 10 grand. So she'll actually make some money if PayPal goes
well. Is that her one and only position?
Okay.
She has some stocks in her Rob. Like she had United and she made like 3 grand off that after a couple of years, but she's never done anything really risky, speculative. It's just like basic shit.
Well, then look, it could be a good exercise to build her out the 3 to 5 positions and work on accumulating however you do it.
Palantir too.
Spreads, whatever it is, have her build out 3 to 5 positions that you continue to DCA in, right? Over several years. And then at some point you can turn over the reins to her and say, here's this portfolio that we built. Here's how much money we've allocated. This is how much you're up. And this is what I think the trajectory is on these. And then she can start watching them herself. Because the idea is that you're not trying to be a money manager, right? You want to train her and show her the benefit of investing herself.
Okay. Kathy just sold 373,000 shares of Robinhood. I think it's probably rebalancing.
When are their earnings? When are their earnings?
Coinbase. She sold some Roku.
Pinterest.
Roku's up 30%. It might be rebalancing. She bought Pinterest and ArcF. Why is she buying Pinterest and ArcF? This is why this lady's confusing, bro. She bought Spotify last week. It's so confusing, bro. It's so confusing. But yeah, that's
anyway.
what she just did.
All right, so let's call it a day.
Wait, no, all right, like 2-minute last question. Before we do the Disney episode, I want to get your raw thoughts.
Did you get all the super chats? There was a bunch, by the way. Can we just do that?
We did all the super chat. Vitaly Speak Facts. Is this the one you wanted to see again?
No. Yeah, just keep that one.
Oh, this one. Jeff Booth. Talk about the economy. So we'll try to get Jeff Booth on the pod.
How about tomorrow? Can we pick that one up tomorrow?
Yes, we'll pick that up tomorrow.
That's a longer.
Tomorrow we're talking Disney.
Okay, so Thursday. This is for Vitaly. Okay, so Vitaly have to catch up.
So you got to send me $10 tonight.
Got to $10. You'll never see it.
That's going right into the top. It's at the local 7-Eleven.
This question, David, this quantum computing, we'll do it again. I'm sorry we have to do it tomorrow, but we'll do it first thing tomorrow before Disney because we'll actually go into that stock and I'll show it to Chris before.
Okay.
Final one is I'm up 336% on Upstart. Should I sell?
I should be buying more, of course, because it's going to 500. I don't know.
Well, I think you all know. I think you all know what we think about the quality of the company. So, at this point, what are you thinking? Maybe take a little bit off the top and let the rest ride. Right?
My point is, if you're not selling at 330, what's the threshold? Like, what is your threshold? You
1,000x.
make almost 3.5 times your money, right? Unless you had $100 in there and you're, you know, and you're like, oh man, I wish I.
And
bought
if
more.
you look at their chart, bro, their net income is like, it's not a good chart, but it's up to be up. And I think you should take some profits on that one. It's not a company where the charts are amazing.
330% on anything. Listen, a 2x on almost anything is a great time to take.
Well, no. At the end
right?
of the day, look, if it's I don't know everything about Upstart, so I didn't do that for like Enphase and Tesla. Why not? Because they were becoming profitable. They were making money hand over fist. So you got to look at the fundamentals too. So if you're looking at the fundamentals and you see that they are doing all of these things are happening, then that's up to you what you want to do. If it's not happening,
that's the point. Are you going to be sad? Is your wife going to be upset with you that you only made 300% on the money? How long does it take you to make that money at your day job?
Remember, you don't have to sell the whole thing. You can get rid of half or 40% to 30%. So it doesn't have to be the whole thing.
Let's put it like this. I know a guy who works at Upstart who just left Upstart. And the first text he sent me was, all right, so when are we shorting this shit? And I was just like, that's hilarious.
No. Well, once again, we don't know. We can't get financial advice, as someone pointed out here. You have to look at the fundamentals of the company. And I honestly don't know enough about how great they're doing. I didn't sell Tesla and Enphase when everybody told me to sell. Okay. Honestly, everybody said it. I didn't do that. And then I waited till I thought it was overvalued. So you have to do the same sort of calculation here.
Yeah, the day the guy on CNBC didn't know what he's. There's so much green in the chat now, thanks to Jesse. Thank you again, Jesse, for that. Okay, last final question. Kris is going to do DD on Disney tomorrow. Before we get into his episode, are you feeling bullish or bearish on Disney? And 1 or 2 sentences for either or. Vitaly, start with you.
Sure. I think it's a nothing burger. I think there's upside, meaning like because it's really low. It's been crushed. It's at the bottom of its 52-week, and maybe even over the couple of years. We looked at it, right? 2018. It's at the same price it was a long time ago. So there's probably upside because it's a value play. So it's going to go up 20% or $100 to $100, $110. But where's it going? Like that's my question. They still have a lot of issues to work through. They still have a lot of money to stop spending. So I don't know. I'm not really that bullish on Disney long term. But is there some upside? Yes.
Okay, Carlos.
Okay, I have 2 things to say. I think the stock price is going to do really well. Are you sharing my screen?
Yeah,
this is me looking. So we are now at the same price as at Disney was when it cratered during the pandemic. This is the March 2020 low. Okay, and we ran up a bunch. We had run up to 137% to $203, and now we're basically back. So can we call this as the bottom? You know, I would kind of say that we're at the bottom. I have actually been looking at long calls. I've actually been looking at long calls right now, which are that are in the money calls.
But qualitatively, besides the charts, do you feel something towards Disney that makes you want to be like, I want to be an investor in Disney? Or
yes, I think there's and Kris is going to get more into this, but they print freaking money. Like right now, they're mismanaged. I think they're spread too thin. They try to expand into too many things too fast. Right? They also got a little, I think, drunk off of the pandemic, all of the new users that came in, the Disney Plus thing, all of the hype, and I think now they've been humbled. It was smacked down to reality, and I think bringing back Iger was a key move. There's also this idea that people keep talking about this idea that like Apple might buy them. Even if Apple doesn't buy them, they are integral to Apple's success, and so I do think that there are things that we might not know yet that are on the horizon. The other thing about Disney is a lot of what's tanking them is sentiment, and sentiment's probably the easiest thing to change, right? It's not like they're fundamentally doing anything wrong. It's just the market just doesn't like them right now. And especially with all of the attention going to Netflix, it's hard to compete if you're trying to push your Disney Plus thing. So long term, I think they are going to turn the ship around. I think they are going to turn the ship around. They'll turn the sentiment around. And I don't know where we get back to. Do we get back to $203? No, but I think $125 is reasonable.
Right. So there's a value play here, by the way.
My play would be from 85 back to from whatever it is.
That's actually exactly what Kris
$5 back to $125, I think. And I've been looking at some spreads, and I've been looking at some long calls.
I just want to point out this is also a timing issue because as soon as they reinstate the dividend, the stock goes up. That's happening.
Dividend at one point.
They did. They got rid of it during COVID. Now it's coming back. I'm not sure what. I wasn't keeping up, but Q3, Q4, whenever it's coming back, I bet you that's a nice little push for Disney. But once again, Enphase is down. Okay, Google's still reasonably priced. Amazon's reasonably priced. PayPal's a better bet. Like there's just better bets out there than Disney. And look at their chart for the last 10 years. It's all shit. Okay, literally, look at the chart.
Okay, we'll see what Kris has to say tomorrow. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining. We had 720 at one point, 664 still here. Thank you so much. Please subscribe, like the Twitter for Vitaly and Carlos is in the chat. It'll also be in the description. Please make sure you follow them. Kris will be on tomorrow. So make sure you come back tomorrow, even if there is a red day. I know it's a green day, so people
He'll
are
be
excited.
back with a
Even if
tan
there's
and a hangover.
yeah, even if you have a little hangover, you still got to learn about stocks, even when the market's not doing the best. So
And
Kris
ask your boy to come on, because I think it'd be good to have the bear and the bull together.
Is
That's-
Carlos
that's
now
me.
the last word, or can I get one in?
Go ahead. Vitaly,
No,
go
no,
ahead.
I'm just fucking around. There's always got to be someone. Go ahead.
Okay. So we'll see you guys tomorrow. And we'll hopefully, I think Kris should be fine. He'll be back from Cancun tomorrow. So Disney episode will be tomorrow. If not, I'll get on a guest.
Thank
I
you
will-
guys. Seriously, thank you guys. 648.
I will have a last word. We
Thank
have
you,
a Patreon too, me and Carlos, and we also have a free Discord if you want to join us. So it's only
And it's
$5.
in the description. It's there right now. It takes 2 seconds. You can check it out.
Yes. Thank you very much. And the Discord is free.
And in the Discord, they disclose all the trades and all that stuff.
That's
and-
part of the Patreon.
That's part of the
yeah,
Patreon,
it's like
yeah.
$5 a month. All right.
$5, so easy. All right.
Thank you
Later.
guys. Appreciate it. We'll see you tomorrow for Disney. Good night.
Bye.